This is my story about how I ran into an old flame at a bar after we hadn't seen each other for a decade exactly this year. I'm out at a bar. It wasn't a bar that we used to frequent, but 10 years ago, I was getting divorced, and he was in the process of trying to decide whether or not to get divorced. That was a decade ago. 10 years ago, we used to bond over alcohol and discontent, which, as we all know, are two great tastes that taste great together, right? They're like peanut butter and jelly, alcohol and discontent, delicious every single time. And 10 years ago, I was in motion. I was actively getting divorced and going through the process, whereas he was separated and he was still thinking about getting divorced, so he was at rest. So let's time travel beyond 10 years ago. Hop in my DeLorean with me. I'm in high school. I decided I wanted to be a scientist. Mainly, I decided I wanted to go to med school, but I was your quintessential Gen X teenager. I was bored with high school. I was apathetic. I didn't care. I spent more time with my face in the TV and inside of a box of Pizza Hut pizza than I ever did in any books. So I didn't have the grades to get into med school. I went to school for journalism instead, and now I'm here in front of all of you at World Cafe Live telling my stories. So let's go back to the guy at the bar. Me and the guy are at the bar. We're catching up. What have we been up to 10 years later? He comments on how great I look and how happy I look. And I confirmed, I'm doing great. I am happy. He asked me what I'd been up to for the past 10 years, and I gave him a brief synopsis of 7 years spent dating, 3 years spent actively traumatized and not dating at all, and a winding career path that was also very unexpected that landed me in the position I'm very happy and grateful to be in today. I explained to him that I'd gotten my house renovated as well, but I was living in the same house. And I also explained to him that I'd successfully quit drinking 5 years prior. I've been sober for 5 years. So thank you. I'll take the applause. He responded with just a simple wow. And it was a combination of genuinely impressed, and I felt a sense of discontent in there as well. I asked him what he'd been up to for the past 10 years because I was genuinely curious. He's a good guy. He explained that he was still married to his wife. He decided to go back. He decided to try to make it work. And he then went into that old adage of the grass isn't necessarily greener on the other side of the fence. He said, I realized that the grass isn't always greener on the other side and that the grass I had was just fine. And then he lined himself up for a fifth whiskey and Coke with the bartender. So that'll tell you a lot right there. He asked me how my grass was, and I immediately responded, and I didn't skip a beat. I don't just have grass, I have a playground. I don't know why that came to me so quickly. I didn't even have to think about my response, but when I left the bar after talking with him for about another hour and a half, I thought, that's exactly what I wanted. I didn't just want grass. Grass is fine. It's green, it's lush, it's soft if it's well tended to, right? You can run, you can jump, you can play in grass, you can skip. But I wanted to build things on my grass that made me stay in this constant state of motion. I wanted constant momentum. I wanted to move forward and not backward. And I wanted life mainly to be fun. So I built swings on my playground, and I wanted to swing so high that I could touch the sky. I wanted a sliding board, I wanted teeter-totters, I wanted a merry-go-round that spun and spun and spun until I was euphoric and it made me dizzy. I didn't just want grass. I didn't explain all of this to him. I just stuck with the playground analogy, however. What I realized was that we all have grass. And a lot of the time, the grass really isn't greener on the other side of the fence. But sometimes there is grass. It might be the same grass. It might be brown and dry when you get there. But if you keep cultivating it and you keep watering it and you keep letting it grow and being patient with it, you can grow and plant whatever you want on your grass, right? What I always go back to, having always wanted to be a scientist, and I still do, for this story, I'm going to reference Newton's first law of motion, which states that a body at rest will remain at rest unless acted on by an outside force, and a body in motion at constant velocity will stay in motion in a straight line unless acted on by an outside force. I've always had some outside force inside of me keeping me going, and I hope all of you do too. That's all I want for everybody, is that they keep going and they believe in themselves and they believe that there is something greater and better before them than what was back there. This story isn't about being in a better place or being better than. I hate that part of our culture that's in a constant state of comparison. What it's about is maintaining your velocity and about choosing to cultivate and grow something great on your own grass. You can build whatever the hell you want on your grass. And that's my story.